Hi, I'm Louis Eisen, the founder of Perfect Policies. And this is the Policy Brief, a series of short video clips that I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks to give you some information to help you and your organization maintain a set of policy instruments that are clear and concise. And today I want to talk about why policies are so long. And you see all these policy documents that come from different organizations. They're pages, dozens, 20, 30, 40, 50 pages long. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you. The reason most policies are so long is because they contain all kinds of crap that they shouldn't, and that's the bottom line. Too many people don't know what goes inside a policy. First, there are three different kinds of documents, and a policy is only one of them. So here is a full documentation framework. There are three columns. So on the left, there are foundational documents, in the middle you have authorities, and on the right you have tools and guidance. These are three totally different types of documents. The black arrows between columns means informs. So foundational documents inform the authorities, and authorities inform the tools and guidance. Foundational documents are your mandate, your vision, your values, all the documents you put together as you start creating your business. And everything that you do in your business, in your organization, even if it's a government, needs to be founded on these values, vision, mandate, mission. In the authorities column are the policy documents themselves, the policies, the directives, standards, and rules. Everything else that you're doing, in fact, is guidance. So guidance includes things like your guides, instructional material, promotional material, procedures, all the messaging, all the information. This is the stuff that people end up padding their policies with, and that's what makes them so long. So when we're talking about policies, we're really just playing in this space here. The black arrows are still important though, because everything in the tools and guidance section needs to be informed by the authorities, and everything in the authorities needs to be informed by the foundational documents. So let's look closely at the authorities and the guidance for a minute. In your jurisdiction, no doubt you have some kind of law that regulates divorce. But if you were looking at getting a divorce, you wouldn't go and read that act, the legislation, to figure out what it was. No, what you would do would be to go for some kind of book that tells you how to get a divorce. And it would cover what's in the Divorce Act and anything you need to know about what's in the Income Tax Act and the Property Act and about children and custody and access, and it might give you reference to how to find a lawyer and tell you about costs. It's going to tell you all kinds of things. Now, it is informed by the Divorce Act, so the Divorce Act is still the authority, but you don't spend your time reading the authority. When you need to know what to do, you go and look at a book, a guidance book called How to Get a Divorce. Here's another example. The rules of chess are set internationally by the Fédération Internationale des Échecs, based out of France. But if you wanted to know how to play chess, you would not go and read the official rules. Instead, what you do is to find some book that tells you how to play chess. Again, this guidance is informed by the authority, but it itself is not the authority. And here's one final example. If you wanted to write a web page and you needed to look up an authority, you would go to the World Wide Web Consortium's list of HTML specifications, which is the standard for HTML. But if you wanted to learn how to write a web page, that's not where you'd go. You'd go to some book which explains to you how to write HTML, what you need, all the basics that you need to know ahead of time. It might give you some strategy. It would give you design specs. Again, it is informed by the authority. But the book that you end up reading on how to do it, it is not the authority. In all three cases, we have an example of an authority some policy, rule, specification, etc., and the guidance that everybody looks at to understand how to do their work. The main difference between the authorities and the tools and guidance can be stated very simply. The authority sets the rule. The tools and guidance restate it. They may interpret it, they may assist it, they may help it, but they don't set the rule. The rule is set once in an authority. And that's what your policy is. It's the one authority that sets the rule. The reason most people's policies are so long is because they include all kinds of information that restates the rule, or tries to interpret the rule, or explain the rule, or teach the rule, and not merely state or set the rule. This distinction between policy and guidance is really key. It's fundamental to getting the policy stuff down right. I love the way the government of New Zealand has put together their records management standard, and they've done something very clever. They've combined the policy and the guidance into a single document, but clearly marked them so that they are separate. And look how beautifully it sits. Very simply, there's a statement that says, look at 1.5, the content of records must be fixed. That's the policy. That's it. That sets the rule. Everything after that is guidance. So what does that mean? The introduction explains it beautifully. The requirement statements are mandatory. They must be complied with. The guidance notes are informative and explanatory rather than directive. Although they make specific suggestions and recommendations for meeting the requirements, these need not be followed. Although they physically sit in the same document, they're clearly recognizing here the difference between policy, which is the authority, and guidance. Here's another example. Again, the policy statement is very short. Records must be secure. Everything else that explains that is guidance. If we were to extract the statements that are purely policy statements from this and put them in a single document, we would have a very concise document indeed. When someone brings me a document to review, the first question I ask them is, which column did you expect this to go in? Is this an authority or is this tools and guidance? Because the first thing you have to choose is what kind of document you're writing. And if you're writing a policy, then it needs only to have policy statements. So, how do we determine the difference between what's a policy statement and what's guidance? We'll take a look at that at the next policy brief. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was useful for you. Please feel free and leave me a comment or send me a note if you're interested in me covering a particular topic. I'm going to be releasing these, I hope, about once a week. Have a great day.